Well, something that's been making the news a lot lately has been proposed logging in the Highwood watershed area. I've been listening to radio interviews and reading things. We're getting mail-outs out to Pritis even opposing this. And listening to people talk and discuss this issue, one thing I've discovered is a lot of people don't know a heck of a lot about logging, and they don't know a lot about Kananaskis. The Kananaskis isn't a national park. It's an improvement district. It allows logging, hunting, oil and gas exploration and production, and it's managed. I mean, there's a lot of parks within it. It's beautiful country. We don't want to see it wasted, but it's not unprecedented. They've been logging around here for over 100 years. The trees grow back. It's a renewable resource. So I'm right in the area where this logging in the Highwood area is going to be. It's a lodgepole pine stand. It's very overgrown. You can see the ribboning. This is going to be the edge of it. This is where they're going to cut along the cut block. All this standing dead brush you can see is ready to burn. Because you see, if we don't log this area, nature will take care of it and it'll burn this area. This here standing dead lodgepole pine, they call this a fire ladder, because if a fire gets going, it just crawls right up to the crowns and the whole area burns. Now, logging, yeah, it might not be pretty to look at, but it will have the same effect as a fire that comes naturally anyways, except it won't kill all the fuzzy bunnies. It gives them a lot more time to get away. Helps the regrowth, gets rid of this stuff. If we want to wait for it to burn, that's fine, but the damage is going to be a heck of a lot worse. And again, it's just not worth it. As well, in Alberta, we're in the middle of a recession. I mean, the NDP's beat up our oil field. They've beat up our farming industry. Now we got people going after the logging. There's $3 to $4 billion a year coming into Alberta through this. We need everything we can get until we recover from this recession. And this crazed opposition to what's really just a standard logging job is just not reasonable. Now, just about 5 kilometers from the area where they're going to be logging in the Highwood Valley area. And this is an area it looks like they logged, I'm going to guess, 15-20 years ago. This has been reseeded. What we've got though is meadow, lots of old dead stumps, and of course new trees coming in. This actually is what wildlife love. Lots of grasses for the elk, for the deer, berries, stumps for the bears. Again, the logging doesn't harm wildlife. They actually quite enjoy these semi-open areas. Down here across the valley, if you look carefully, all of this was logged out and it's all growing back. People act as if this area gets logged and there'll never be a tree growing again. You couldn't be anywhere farther from the truth. It's actually a healthier, newly growing spot, and it's replacing the fire that would naturally clear it out, but actually a lot more damaging. If you want to see erosion problems, you want to see animals killed, have a forest fire do it. We have it at our means, and we can benefit from it from the timber that we harvest from these areas. I'm out now in a live logging cut block. This is where they're actually doing some logging this year. They're cutting lodgepole pine. Yes, it's in Kananaskis country. Yes, it's in the watershed for the Highwood. By the way, the logging is 0.1% of the watershed that's being logged, so we're talking a tiny fraction of the area. Again, if a fire comes through, well, that'll probably burn 80-90% of the area. And what you see, even though they call it clear cutting, it is because they do cut it wide. I mean, some people have talked about selective logging. I mean, you see it on TV, you see different types of logging where they go in, heli logging. Well, that's giant old growth cedars, that's oak, that's maple, that's a different kind of logging altogether. If you look at how thick this bush is here, this is lodgepole pine, you can't just simply punch in a little bit and pull out individual trees and harvest them. You do have to come in and take the works. But that's fine. These trees grow fast, they grow thin, and they leave some standing. They leave buffer zones. They won't come within a certain distance of a road nowadays. They stop a distance from riparian areas, which are swamps, creeks, anywhere where there's water flow. They buffer those. They build erosion control. All this bush laying down, these trees, it does look kind of ugly, but it's going to rot. This holds the water in, this holds the ground down, so it's not washing away while the regrowth comes in. Tree planters are going to come, they're going to reseed this, and it will come in. So going past this, in the logging road, which they'll close to public access, You see actually that comes against some newly replanted stuff right on the edge of it too, which is growing in thick and nice. This is an ongoing harvest. You think of it like farming, and it's not outrageous to do it. Across the valley, you can see different stages of regrowth. Hopefully the camera's good enough to show it. They've been logging this area, again, as I said, for 100 years. It comes and goes, and in opposition to it is just not reasonable. But again, if more people knew what actually happens out here, perhaps they become more reasonable when they hear from Greenpeace and the Parks and Wilderness Society and other eco-extremists who spread a lot of mistruths about industry and what we have to do to keep our modern world going.